Hi YouTubers, it's Vicky from Wigs and Head Covers coming to you from a very wet and windy England, cold also. Yeah, I've just been asked to do a video on how I wore or how I did my headscarf in one of the videos that I put up. So this is what I'm going to be doing in this video. Basically the person who requested it is a friend of mine and also a viewer, a subscriber, and she said to me she really wanted to know how to do a headscarf to give you some height at the top of the head. The problem with wearing headscarves when you have got either very little hair or no hair is that they can look very, very flat to the scalp. And this look suits some people, but other people either they don't like it or they feel that it doesn't suit their bone structure. And so she was kind of saying to me, how can you get a bit more height up here? So that's what I'm going to be showing you today. This particular headscarf look, you will need a few things for. You will need a scarf like this one. This is 72 inches long by 12 inches wide. It's a rectangle, basically a very long thin one. The fabric that this is 100% silk, so it's quite slippery. You could use a thicker fabric, you could use a polycotton or a cotton, but that will just make the actual overall look thicker on your head, which some people want and like, but other people perhaps wouldn't like. So you just have to experiment a bit. Two things I'm going to say about this. A, it isn't the easiest headscarf style to tie. It takes a bit of practice for a lot of people, I would have thought. And also, don't wear lip gloss when you're going to do this, because you're pulling the scarf around and it will come around the front of your face at some point and you will get it stuck to your lips. So you don't want to ruin your scarf. Also, if you've got hair, either you don't have hair loss or you've got hair and you need to kind of sort of pin it up or something, what I recommend is doing, if it's long enough, doing a ponytail at the nape of the neck and then just clipping the hair to the back of your head, like the ponytail part that sticks up. So that's actually given me a little comb over there, which is quite nice because I have a bit of one of my bald areas is there. So yeah, I was like, maybe I'll do this in the future. Anyway, you will also need, and I didn't realise how imperative this was until I started to try and just do a practice run. I would try to do this style using an underscarf, and even though the underscarf was quite matte textured fabric, so it should hold. I mean, normally when I use it with other headscarves, it holds the headscarves quite well. In this style, it didn't work. You really, really, really need to wear one of these. This is a fabric headband. It's like, it's just a circle of fabric. You can buy them from most beauty supply stores, hair supply places. This one, they have lycra in. This one, you want one that's a little bit thick. I'm not, not completely flat to the head. This will help give you some kind of bulk, so that you look like you've got a bit more there than you have. Because with my hair, like if I didn't have this would make it look really, really flat against my head if I just put the headscarf on there. But the thing as well, the reason this is imperative is this actually holds the headscarf and stops it from slipping. So you really, really need to get one of those to do this look. Okay, so here's how to tie the scarf style. What you want to do is put about 1/3 on one side of your head, 2/3 on the other side of your head. And then you want to take the shorter end around the back of the nape of your neck, around the back of your neck, and you want to bring it around to the other side. And at this point, I sort of try to adjust a little bit so that I can see where my front hairline, I say hairline, front line of the scarf will be on your forehead. So I don't want it too low down, but it needs to be enough that I feel comfortable with it, coverage wise. And then you can sort of judge, I can kind of judge if this is going to be long enough for tying at the end, because this piece of scarf here, the short end, is going to actually stay where it is until right at the end when I come to tie it. So yeah, you just want to, you have to practice a little bit, and then you'll know how long it needs to be to tie it. So I've got sort of about that long. And then you take your longer end, hold the shorter end just to stabilize it, because as you're going to pull this around the back of your head, and that, if you hold this part when you do that first, just pulling it round, it stabilizes this side of your head and your scarf. So there we go. It's just that first bit, it's a bit unstable. And what it does when you pull this longer piece around the back of your head, it actually creates coverage at the back. And what you want to do is to just have a feel and tuck in any, if you can feel any, it's quite hard to do, tuck in any loose ends, because you're essentially, you want to make sure you don't end up with a cone head. You can get bits sticking up here that will give you a complete cone head. But also you don't want loads of raw pieces of fabric sticking out. So this, if I just turn around, it gives you that kind of, you can see it's giving me coverage there, and I'm just tucking any loose parts that I can feel in. And then you're going to bring it round and you're going to wrap it around again. And what you want to do when you do this is you want to try and just ruche the fabric a little bit. And what I mean by that is just allow the fabric to actually scrunch up, because that gives you some height then. And you don't want it to be ridiculous, but you want it enough that it feels like nice and secure. You want to make sure this feels nice and tight against the head as well. And so this part, I always feel it's a little bit fiddly, but you just want to take that time to do that. Don't worry too much about this piece, because this is actually linked to there, so it's flapping a little bit right now. Because it's not secure. And then you just pull around again, so you're literally wrapping it around your head. And now I take what was the short end is now the long end. So this was my long end, this was my short end, and they've now become the opposite. And you bring the short end around to the side, and you just tie the two at the side. Now, depending upon the length of your actual scarf, you may end up with more end than I've got right now. So you can tie it on the side, or you could tie it in the middle. It's just personal preference. I like to try, if I have it in the right place and enough fabric, to tie it on the side. And the reason being, because I do a lot of square scarf styles, and they are much more limiting about where you can tie it. You find that they end up being tied a lot at the center, the middle, and I think it's just nice to have something on the side. And what you will end up with is two long pieces, or even longer, but I like the length of these because I can do something with them. If they were longer, it's a bit harder. What you have to do is to then tuck these pieces into the fabric that you have here on the band. So I'm going to just, you can do what you want with it to make it look the way you want it to look, but I just literally spend a few minutes or whatever, hopefully on here not a few minutes, just fiddling really until I get it how I want it. Because you can make, oh sorry about that, it's my dog. You can really do what you want. Like you can make flowers, bows, all kinds of things really. Just inspire yourself. You can, of course you can tuck it just flat in like that. But for me, I'm always trying to like do something a little different, make a little bit of, I find like it's a bit decorative if you can sort of make a bow or whatever on the side. So I'm always just having a bit of a fiddle to see what can I do that I like, what can I do that makes me think it looks nice. Hopefully it does look nice. See if I can tuck this somewhere. Yeah, so you just have to fiddle around until you've got it how you want it. And then the last thing is, I mean, I've pulled this fairly tight. You do need to pull it to a certain degree, because otherwise you will end up with it slipping off of your head. Part of the stability of this particular headscarf style is in the wrapping. It is in the folding, the wrapping, and it being fairly taut. Otherwise it will move, especially because this scarf is silk and it's slippery. But you can actually do it with a thicker scarf with a more a matte kind of fabric, and that won't, you know, move as much. So there's my front and my back. Looks like this. Two tips, I guess you would call them. First off, don't do this. Do not wrap your head like this before you're going somewhere in a rush, because it's just not really a good idea unless you've done it a lot and you're just really confident. The other thing which relates to that is just practice, 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 really, because it's very, very at first it feels like, well, to me at first when I was doing it I was like, oh, this is impossible, and I still have times now when I'm like, oh, because you're trying to cover the back of your head and that's quite hard with this strip of fabric. So it just takes some practice, some fiddling, and yeah, just remember when you go around the back of the head that you want to kind of tuck so that you get that coverage at the back. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful to you, and anybody with any questions, then please just either send me a message or just put them in my comments box and I'll try to help you. And I hope that, yeah, you enjoyed watching it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.